Hey everyone, I wanted to make a quick video on how to set up a new heroic bard. For your songs, first we'll do Aria of the Poet. This is a group overhaste song, and it also does spell focus. Next up we have War March. This song is group haste, attack, and strength, and also a damage shield. Arcane Arietta is a group buff that gives you a melee proc and a spell proc. Chorus of Rodset is hit points and mana regen for everyone in the area. Stormblade is a group melee proc. Dance of the Dragon is armor class and spell resist. Jonthan's Spiteful Caretaker is a self-only haste and proc buff. Crescendo is a song that has a 45-second reuse time, and it's a 30-second buff that when it fades heals your group's hit points and mana. Next is the Overhaste aura. This one is a lot like your song. It gives you Overhaste, spell damage focus. When you use an aura, it shows up in your aura window and also in your song window. It'll last a few hours or if you die, and anybody who's in your group and within range will get it automatically. Next is our slow Requiem of Time. It's just a debuff that makes NPCs attack slower. And then we'll also use a single target mez, Slumber of the Mind Shear, and an AE mez, Wave of Slumber. Bards can mez 3 levels above their current level when you're at like a max level. So at level 85, you can mez level 88. The one thing to know about the AE mez is it has a 30-second reuse and a 30-second duration, so it gets a little hairy when it's going to wear off, and it can only affect 6 targets around you. For hot button abilities, I have the Fading Memories AA. This ability causes you to drop aggro on everything that you have aggro on, as long as it's not more than 5 levels above you. It costs 2% mana. Bard mana is a kind of restricted resource, so you can't fade an infinite number of times, and when you use it, it also gives you invis. Sonic Disturbance is a pulling tool. It does 1 damage, and it has 250-foot range. Boastful Bellow can also be a pulling tool, but these days it's mostly personal DPS. It does a Coldfire magic resist debuff, and it also does a Boastful Conclusion when it fades, which is a lot of damage. It costs a lot of endurance to use, so you may not be able to sustain it. Vainglorious Shroud is like a frontal beam version of Boastful Bellow that affects up to 6 targets, and it does the same debuff when it fades. So also good for damage. Solo Sonata is a group buff that makes everybody run fast. It lasts 5 minutes. It's a good thing to keep up at all times. Lyre Leap is an ability that makes you just move forward. It's useful for if you're trying to cross a really long zone. Fierce Eye is a group buff that increases crit damage, including spells, healing, and dots, and melee. It increases the chance to get a melee proc. Spire of the Minstrels reduces melee damage taken, and it increases spell damage and increases melee damage. Quick Time is a group buff that gives everyone 100 hands effect, which is a reduction in weapon delay. It increases your attack also. Dance with Blades is a self buff that gives you more melee damage, and it adds a proc called Blade Whirl. Blade Whirl is a very powerful resist debuff, and it also does a slow that stacks with your regular slow. So the Blade Whirl slow is more like a reduction in melee speed, and then this one is just slow. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, it's very powerful. Thousand Blades is a discipline that increases your personal melee damage. Intensity of the Resolute is a veteran AA that everyone gets now that increases your chance to get a critical direct damage or healing spell, and it also increases your base melee attack damage. Death Dance is a discipline that gives you auto dodge for 18 seconds, so it's almost like being immune to damage, and it's great to use if you need to tank something in a pinch in a really dire situation. But you'll still take spell damage when Death Dance is on. Shield of Notes is a spell and melee damage rune that absorbs part of the damage you take. Last Stand is a temporary self-only maximum hit point buff. Armor of Experience is a veteran AA that everyone gets that is a significant amount of damage absorption. So I put all the defensive skills here together. Cacophony is a dot that has a fairly short reuse time, and it also does something called Cacophony Disruption, which is a 50% chance to interrupt the NPC's spell. This mostly doesn't apply, it only works on NPCs whose spells have a cast time. Bladed Song is a relatively quick reuse debuff that you use on a monster, and it causes them to take damage when they hit somebody. Lyrical Prankster is a swarm pet ability. At level 85, you get 2 pets, and it has a fairly short reuse time. The only drawback is that these pets aren't controllable. Song of Stone is another swarm pet ability that summons 9 pets, and it has a longer reuse time. Funeral Dirge is a very powerful bard debuff that makes the monster take additional melee damage, and when it fades, they also take a little bit of direct damage. Dirge of the Sleepwalker is a fairly quick reuse ability where bards get to mez something for about 1 minute. And the difference between it and our regular mez is that most of our crowd control only lasts a short amount of time. Lesson of the Devoted is 30 minutes of double EXP you can use every day. Staunch Recovery is a free full hit point, mana, and endurance heal that you can use once every few days. And Expedient Recovery is a way you can summon all your corpses and give them all 100% res once every few days. Throne of Heroes is a port to the guild lobby you can use about once per hour. Permutation Peddler is a way you can summon a vendor that you can sell to even while you're out hunting, and you can use him once per day. Summon Banker is similar. You can summon a banker when you're out hunting and you need to put stuff away or get something out of your bank. For my other hotkeys I have here, I have a main assist key. The assist command in EverQuest causes you to target somebody else's target. So everybody wants to fight the same thing. You make someone the main assist, and then you use a key like this to always target what they're targeting. I also have a regular assist key in case you want to assist somebody else. And I have a melody key. The melody command is how you'll play songs as a bard. This one will play songs 1 through 7 in order. I also have a key that adds the 8th song, which in my case is Crescendo. And the reason I have a separate key is because you may not want to play a melody that's using a significant amount of mana. And so let's say you died, you don't have any mana, then you would just be using the one that has no crescendo in it. But then if you later decided, hey, I want to use crescendo, you could play this one instead. So it can be nice to have different keys for that kind of thing. I have a group discipline key, which tells my group, hey, I'm using discs. And for the AAs it's using, I use QuickTime, and I'm using Spire. And then I do Stop Song, and I used my Breastplate key. My personal disc key is going to use Funeral Dirge, Cacophony, Bladed Song, Dance of Blades, and then Thousand Blades Discipline. So the reason I have my personal discs separate from my group discs is that I may be in a situation where we really need help killing something, but I am not actually attacking. Maybe I'm doing crowd control. So that's when it could be nice to have them separate. So I'll go ahead and kill something. See if I can find a monster. This guy looks pretty good. So I have my melody key on, and I just auto-attacked him. I could also use Sonic Disturbance to pull him, or Bellow. And there's the Bellow debuff. It looks like I'm probably going to kill him before it goes off, though. And if you get stunned, you can just restart your melody key. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I hope this was helpful.